Well, if you thought we had problems in the defence before, we certainly do now, or at least it looks like we might. Now, sometimes when it comes to Champions League games or maybe the odd Premier League game, sometimes the media are invited to get some footage and sort of an action shot of 15 minutes of an open training session so they can sort of get an idea for who's training, who's available, and in the footage that emerged, Gabriel Magalhaes, of course, that's centre-back, Thomas Partey, Takehiro Tomiyasu, Benjamin White, Ricardo Calafiori, took me a second to remember his first name, Jurrien Timber and Alexander Zinchenko all weren't training in the footage that they captured. Now, before everyone panics, because I am a little bit, but let's try and make sense of this all. This is 15 minutes. They haven't only trained for 15 minutes, and Mikel Arteta is the master of mind games. I think something similar might have happened maybe before Liverpool. I can't quite remember, where basically Bukayo Saka hadn't trained or whatever. So write me in the comment section below if I remember that correctly. But basically, Gabriel, Partey, Tomiyasu, White, Calafiori, Timber, Zinchenko all haven't trained, which, there we go, and my laptop thinks that's quite funny. Which is really, really quite worrying, because it means that, you know, the likes of Jurrien Timber, who had been available, and Thomas Partey, who had been available, the fact that they haven't trained either is slightly worrying, because that means there's more, you know, defensive concerns building. The other big concern is around Gabriel Zinchenko and Calafiori, who we thought, okay, well, hopefully what they've got isn't too serious and long term. And we knew that White had problems. We know that Tomiyasu hasn't been fit for a while. But it looks like all of them could be in contention to miss the game against Monaco on Wednesday night, which leaves Arsenal incredibly bare in defence, which happens to be the one position we thought we were completely stacked in and that we never really have to worry about this kind of thing for. But it looks like we certainly do now, and it could be quite a youthful back four that goes out against Monaco. We'll look at that in a second, but let's just talk about each individual player and what this means. I just want to reiterate one more time as I do this, everyone. They might be fine. Late fitness tests, and you never know, Partey, Calafiori, Gabriel Zinchenko could all be available. And that's a whole back four there. You know, there's every chance that late fitness tests, and actually maybe they do something in the morning. I mean, at the time of recording, it's just gone 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. They're not playing for another over 24 hours, you know, and you've got sort of, you know, tomorrow evening. It could be touch and go, and it could be that they're just giving them all the required rest. There's a lot of football being played, and maybe there's no need for all these players to train. All these things are a possibility, but it just doesn't... The optics aren't great, are they? You know, especially when it comes to, like I said, players like Partey and Timber, who had been quite regularly available. I think the other thing that's concerning is Gabriel. I mean, we were hoping he'd be available for Man United, let alone Fulham. He wasn't. And Zinchenko played one game before he was out. So that's the stuff that's all concerning. But like I said, let's get to the players individually. Now, Gabriel Magalhaes, if you remember, he came off against Liverpool, didn't he? Came off against Liverpool, but then was kind of fine after, played Newcastle, played Chelsea, whatever. Then, if I'm not mistaken, he came off against Sporting. He came off against West Ham. And we thought we'd have him back for Man United. That's 3 times. I mean, this Gabriel is never injured. And basically, like, plays every minute he possibly can. But he's come off 3 times already this season. Twice in consecutive games before having this sort of lengthy spell off. I'm not sure we even quite know what's wrong. Let me actually just do a quick Google. I mean, Gabriel Magalhaes injury. Do we know details around it? So, you know, injury record. I'm going to find... Sorry, a little bit of on-the-spot research, but I think it's just worth having a little look. What does it say it is? Knee injury. So apparently it's a knee problem that's keeping him out at the moment, Gabriel. Okay. I mean, that's never good, is it? Because, Gary, you know, knee problems you never really want to mess around with. Partey, we have no idea. I mean, you know, he's had injury problems this whole time he's been at Arsenal. I think it's a miracle he's actually played this much football and started this many Premier League games in a row, bar, I think, the Forest game. He didn't start against West Ham, did he? That was it. Oh, yeah, so Partey wasn't... That's it, so Partey wasn't fit to play West Ham either. So Jorginho came in, and then he was back for Man United. And then he was back for Fulham, and now he's not available again. So he's clearly got something that's kind of keeping him in and out a little bit. Or maybe they're just managing his minutes. I mean, that could mean that too. Calafiori, we don't know what it is. He's had a few knee problems and other things that have kept him out. But, you know, he was back post-international break. Now he's not been available. Timber, been moved around lots of positions. You know, he's had a few problems here and there. Zinchenko, we don't really know, and White we know is long-term. Tomiyasu, we know is long-term, and we need it back. I mean, this is where people start to look at, you know, people will forgive Calafiori as a new signing, Timber because of the big knee injury last season, Gabriel, White because they're never injured. This is when people are looking at Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, and I'll say Partey, but to be fair, most of the season he's been fit. They look at those players who are more injury-prone and are going, come on, now we've got a little bit of an injury crisis. where's your contribution? We need you guys out there. But they don't look like they're going to be available for this. Now, again, I'm a broken record, but I'm going to keep hammering this point home. This is 15 minutes of footage. We don't 100% know that they're not available. Mikel Arteta might come out with some quotes that confirms that or not. But I imagine he'll tell us, as he tells every reporter, that it's a case of a late fitness test, that they didn't want to risk some players, that they're managing players, blah, blah, and we'll see for tomorrow. So what would a back four facing Monaco look like without these players? Because it's pretty... That's a lot of players. So who are the defenders we've got available? First teamers. Saliba and Kivior. That's it. I mean, those are the only... So our defensive options are Saliba, Kivior, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, White, Calafiori, Timber, Zinchenko. Yeah. So then you're dipping into the youngsters. So you're looking at Josh Nichols, who's probably going to have to come in at right back, because unless you want to do something particularly creative at right back, I'm trying to think who. I mean, it couldn't be anyone else. I mean, the pecking order already is White, Timber, Tomiyasu, and then Partey is like an emergency option at right back. So it's probably going to have to be Josh Nichols with Saliba and Kivior at centre back, and then at left back it's probably going to be Lewis Skelly. I mean, you're probably going to have to, turn to two Hale End products and two academy players. And good luck to them if they can get a start in the Champions League. That'd be amazing. But you're looking to them to start, really. Now, he might do something for the sake of getting some seniority in that back four. He might do something like play Marino left back. He might just do something like that. He might play Rice centre back and move Kivior to left back. It wouldn't surprise me if he did something like that for the sake of, not having two academy products at fullback, but actually kind of, giving one the opportunity and actually maybe resting another. Could you play Rice at right back and have him invert from that position? You probably could. I mean, he's such a talented footballer, you probably could get him to do that. But what Arteta does, if he has all these players unavailable, is going to be really interesting, because I think he's going to be forced in some way, shape or form to turn to, a youngster to try and help him out in those areas. The midfield then, knowing it's not Partey and knowing Rice or Mourinho could be moved apart, might be affected by this too. Odegaard should keep his place. Of course, we hope nothing comes out about him. He's obviously gone down with a few ankle injuries in games, but been able to see it out. I think he's been subbed a few times, but not because of injury. So it looks like Arsenal managing his minutes well. Hopefully he's okay. We're then looking at probably Jorginho starting this game. Either way, whether we're talking Mourinho going to left back, we're talking about Rice dropping to centre back or right back, we're probably going to get Jorginho starting this game. And then the left eight will be one of Rice or Marino. And I just feel like Arteta will find a solution with one of those for the defence. And then the front three becomes interesting more from a perspective of what does Arteta do to deal with the fact that we've got a lot of out-of-form players, really. We've got, Martinelli's cameo wasn't great, but Trossard certainly wasn't much better in the 60, 70 minutes before that. Raheem Sterling doesn't seem ready, but I feel like you've got him, roll the dice. But then are we just saying that about every player? Kai Havertz, we were at our most fluid football with Jesus up front against Forest, but then we know he hasn't hit the levels that we know he can from when we first signed him. We know the levels that Kai Havertz has hit more recently, but we know he's not in form. So what do we do there? Do you even play Trossard in the false nine? Then Saka will inevitably keep his place, mainly because we can't really rotate. This is probably the kind of game where you'd like to rotate him a little bit, because he's not been without injury this season. So also been very, very unfortunate on the injury front. We have, for rival fans watching, we probably haven't had it worse. I'm sure others have too. But I think don't underestimate what dismantling Arsenal's defence can do to Arsenal's attack. Our really aggressive high press, our high line, our squeezing teams in is a huge part of why we're able to dominate games and attack so well, something we did really well last season. So without these players to allow you to do that, Arsenal's ability to attack as well as defend is impacted. It's not just, we expect to concede a goal or two more. This is going to hit Arsenal in quite a few ways, especially if all of those players are missing. You get 2 or 3 of them back, things look a lot better, but it looks like Saliba and Kivior will be starting another game at centre-back together against Monaco. Let's see. Of course, we'll be reacting to every kick of the ball against Monaco on the watch-along, so go check that. I'll be at the game as well. Really looking forward to that. And obviously, any other breaking news, we'll keep you up to date here on AFTV. Any updates from Mikel Arteta, we'll let you know about that too. Big thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this breaking news video, and we'll catch you all in a bit.